going to have a good time today, guys. Welcome back, Warriors. It's me, Linda B. Thank you all so much for joining me here today. We're going to talk about how the left has gone mental. They've gone totally mental ever since that Elon Musk and Trump soft interview, more like a conversation. But you all know that they've got all their twisted narratives that they got to tell. But before we get into it, don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Let's get into it.
Hi, I had to come on here today to talk about the interview that Elon Musk had with President Donald Trump last night. When I got on X this morning, I saw all of these negative headlines from our media about how bad the interview was. Now, if you didn't listen to the interview, you would think that Donald Trump said he was going to do something to everybody in the world. Let me tell you what it was. I sat there, and I normally don't listen to speeches or interviews, but I sat there and I listened to the entire thing, and it was really quite amazing. And I would implore any politician to say the same thing. If you want people to vote for you, then you need to address issues that are important to people. And so instead of the Democrat Party constantly bashing Donald Trump, you know what they need to do? This is what I say to them. You say the same things. You address the same issues. You address inflation. You address the war. You address freedom of speech that you guys are trying so hard to remove from everyone. When you address those same issues, or if you address those same issues, then your party platform would be about issues and not about Donald Trump. It is the weirdest thing to me. And then people fall for it. When I was reading the comments, I was like, I just listened to this whole thing and I couldn't believe I did. But I did. I said, but you know why I listened to the whole thing? Because he talked about things that were important to Americans. Democrats, start talking about things that are important to Americans and stop pandering. Stop saying you're going to give away something for free. And then address why you're giving everything to illegal immigrants. Talk about this illegal immigration. It's what I call the Black replacement plan. And now I know everybody's like, they're replacing everybody. Yeah, that's true. I'll tell you why it's so important to us. We're now only a little between 13 and 14% of the population. They say they brought in 20 million illegal immigrants. That's one of the numbers that I've heard. And, you know, it's not confirmed. One of the numbers that I've heard, because of course, they're not going to tell us how many for real. And they have no idea themselves. But when that happens, we're only over 40 million. So just think, they brought in adults and mostly adult men that are half of our population. Do you think that will not affect what they're going to do in our communities? Do you think that won't affect what's going to happen with schools in predominantly Black communities, Hispanic communities? Do you think that will not affect us? So I say to you, instead of you jumping on and being the party of intimidation, being the party of constant hatred, why don't you start addressing issues just like Trump did? And one of the things that he said that I thought was so important is Elon said something about the CO2 levels in the world right now. And I was so glad because, you know, that climate change thing, that's another one of the firm's things. Donald Trump says, no, the most important thing that we're facing right now is nuclear, the nuclear capacity of countries all over the world. If I cannot bring anything else home to you, let me make you understand this. If we get into a nuclear war, racism, sexism, education, all of those things will not matter. We must have a president that can sit down with Vladimir Putin, with Kim Jong-un, with Xi, all of these people with whomever is over Iran right now. We must have someone that can sit down with them and stop this war that's about to turn into World War III. Yes, they make a lot of money. The firm makes a lot of money off of war, but guess what? We won't survive it, so it will not matter. So instead of you criticizing everything that Donald Trump does, give us your policies. Tell us what you're going to do. Tell me why I need to vote for Kamala that has nothing to do with her race. I couldn't care less about her race or her gender if my whole country, the entire world, no longer exists. That's what we're looking for. Talk to us about policies, and then we'll listen.
Amen, sister. I agree with every single thing you just said. The Democrats, that's what they do. They intimidate, they demonize the other side. And in the meantime, while they're demonizing those who are listening to them, have you ever thought about the fact that they haven't really said what they're going to do? Oh, Kamala said no tax on tips, but she just copied what Donald Trump said. Nothing original. And she doesn't do interviews. Stephen A. Smith called her out on that. See my live stream on that one. So we got to stop dealing with all this demon rat stuff where they're not really telling us anything. That's so interesting because Kamala Harris was the one that is the reason behind the tax on tips. She's the reason why we have tax on tips. And yet now she's saying no tax on tips when she was the tie-breaking vote on tax on tip workers. Yeah, make that make sense. And she was a tie-breaking vote on the Inflation Reduction Act. Yeah, and the America Rescue Plan. If that's a rescue, what they're doing right now in this current administration, just leave me alone. Just don't rescue me. I don't need that kind of rescuing. That's the kind of rescuing we can do without. Now let's see what else the liberal media is talking about.
Began with 40 minutes of silence and then a bropocalypse of politics. No matter how you frame it or what caused the glitch, what was finally said between Donald Trump and Elon Musk at last night's Big X event can largely be defined as a rant filled with familiar lies and lines of attack.
Kamala wouldn't have this conversation. She can't because she's not smart. She's not a smart person. She is a radical left San Francisco liberal, and now she's trying to protect. Now she's looking like she wants to be more Trump than Trump, if that's possible. I don't think it's possible, but she wants to be more Trump than Trump. She's terrible, but she's getting a free ride.
One exchange that was kind of classic. Well, there were a lot of exchanges that were classic Donald Trump, but this one really stuck out to us.
And Nagasaki were bombed, but now they're like full cities again. So it's really not something that So it's not as scary as people think, basically.
So that was more Elon Musk than Donald Trump talking about, sort of suggesting that what happened almost 80 years ago, I think 80 years ago next year, the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Now it's okay. Kind of trying to blow off the impact of that.
So no matter what Donald Trump says that's good, like all the things that he wants to do, reduce inflation, get an iron dome created, put tariffs on imports that will help America and make things better for us, make us energy independent. They focused on that comment right there, which no one, if you look at it in its full context, was really talking about diminishing. You could have looked at it as, well, you can be rebuilt again. So no matter what Donald Trump says, no matter what he does, they won't show the good stuff, and they twist the bad. They twist his comments to say something that he's really not saying. They do it every single time, and it's just crazy to me. I mean, I guess they think we're never going to actually go. None of us are actually going to go and listen to the whole clip. Is that what you think, CNN and MSNBC? Is that what you think, that we're never going to listen? I mean, what about all the other things that he said? That's what you chose to air? Wow. And the time that he said something about Kamala Harris? Yeah, I could do without the Kamala Harris comments, but that's not the only thing he said, right?
It really is making them angry is what Kamala and Biden have allowed to happen to the economy. It's a disaster with inflation. The inflation, it doesn't matter what you make. The inflation is eating you alive. If you're a worker or if you're just a middle income person, you can't afford. 4 years ago, 5 years ago, people were saving a lot of money. Today, they're using all their money and borrowing money just to live. It's a horrible thing that's happening. And we'll end that quick.
A lot of people just don't understand where inflation comes from. Inflation comes from government overspending because the checks never bounce when it's written by the government. So if the government spends far more than it brings in, that increases the money supply. And if the money supply increases faster than the rate of goods and services, that's inflation. So really, we need to reduce our government spending, and we need to re-examine. I think we need like a government efficiency commission to say, hey, where are we spending money that's sensible? Where is it not sensible? Right. And we need to live within our means. We're currently adding, I think, $1 trillion to the deficit every roughly every 100 days. And the interest payments on the national debt have now exceeded the defense budget. It's on the order of $1 trillion.
It's interest.
And it keeps growing.
I rebuilt our military, largely rebuilt our military, did a great job on it, which was so important. We had jets, we had fighters and bombers that were 70 years old. We did a great job on that. Then we gave 85 billion of it back to Afghanistan, if you can believe it. We gave them 85 billion. They're one of the largest sellers of military equipment in the world. They're selling what we gave them. That was one of the most embarrassing days in the history of our country. But if you think about, let's go back to the economy. We have to bring energy prices down. Energy started at the price of gasoline. Now, your cars don't require too much gasoline. You have a good, and you do make a great product, I have to say. I have to be honest with you. That doesn't mean everybody should have an electric car, but these are minor details. But your product is incredible. But the gasoline, Elon, is the cost of energy. Not only gasoline, it's the cost of heating your house and cooling your house. That has to come down. It's gone up 100%, 150 and 200%. That has to come down. When that comes down, and we're going to drill, baby, drill. They stopped drilling, and then they went back to drilling because they went back to the Trump policy. But if they won the day after they get into office, this country will go out of business because they're going to go to an energy policy that's not sustainable. Wind, different things. You're not going to have anything. Yeah. And I know you're a big fan of the AI, and I have to say that AI, and this is shocking to me, but AI requires twice the energy that the country already produces for everything. We're going to have to build a lot of energy if our country will be competitive with China, because that's our primary competitor for this, or the AI. You're going to need a lot of electricity. You're going to need tremendous electricity, like almost double what we produce now for the whole country, if you can believe it.
Sure.
So he's talking about a lot of things right there, substantive things. But the media only wants to play what they want to play and twist his words. And it's just crazy to me. I just want Kamala Harris to actually be in a debate. I can't wait to see a debate, although I don't think there's actually going to be a debate. We are a few days from the Democratic National Convention, where Chicagoans are saying they're going to protest, and they are upset about the illegals and who have invaded their city, and they are taking up all the resources, and people have figured out that they're being replaced. So there you have it. Donald Trump gave a lot of substance and how he is going to do things, but yet the left-leaning media just focuses on what they want to focus on. They're literally nitpicking, trying to say, okay, where can we find something that we can twist and turn into a bad narrative? And they're also not being truthful about those polls or the crowd sizes. But, we're going to let that go. You're going to let that go. But, us Trumpers, we're going to support the one who we believe God is using. And I got to say, I'm so glad that you all are watching that video. That video with Pastor Cliff McAnthony. He wrote this book, Trump the Great, and it says, President of the United States, God's end time vessel. God's end time vessel. You should check out those videos. It's in 2 parts. Part 1, part 2. I just published them today. They are doing well, especially the part 1. I think people haven't had a chance to get to the part 2, but thank you all so much. This is great information. I have to just say this. I'm going to say it in all my videos. You all have got to watch it and check out, the book as well. Trump the Great can be found on Amazon. And I have the link in the description of those videos with Pastor Cliff McAnthony. It's labeled, Black Pastor gives shocking revelations and prophecies about Donald Trump. You have to go check that out. Well, thank you all so much for watching. Be blessed, love God, your families, these United States of America. And as I always say, march on, warriors.